Madden.
That's
That's exciting.
Hell yeah, because I googled this today, like thinking like, oh, when's it come out? It's gonna be soon, and I was like, you mean I can play it today?
Yeah, I know, right? Exciting. Yeah, I'm looking forward to doing that later. After we get through this turd sandwich fest of a division,
this episode's gonna suck.
With
it might,
I mean, it'll be interesting. We made Arizona interesting. We were sick as hell, so I'm sure we can make this one interesting.
I think we can. I'm not done talking about Madden though yet. Are you? Listen.
No, we don't have to go, man. I was just,
Have you played a game yet?
No, I'm about 60% downloaded.
Okay, because there's an opportunity to have that very first game, like after because it'll like throw you in like a tutorial thing, right?
Yeah,
and like you'll forget. There's an opportunity, a rare opportunity. We only get once a year. That very first game.
Nobody has any
raw 1v1, man.
Well, I've been reading about some of the things that work better. Have you?
I never do because it doesn't matter. I'm just better at it.
Oh, interesting. Because I seem to remember a time where I was better than you for a while.
Yeah, anyway. That was a short window. You activated the Cody lost at something he cares about. G.
Leave me out of the Madden trash talk conversations because I ain't got it. Well, I lost that one a long time ago.
What happened there, by the way?
Don't care about it as much, I guess. Love the game, but maybe because I've controlled my rage a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's why I used to love it. The game used to send me off the deep end. And I know
sure would.
The truth for Cody as well by the amount of broken controllers I've seen.
Oh yeah, man.
Oh yeah, man. I mean, I've definitely had some rage fest. Like when I was that one year I've told you guys about where I was like deep in it, where I was thinking about it, like, am I gonna make this my life for the next year? Like I was deep, dude. I was about to like try to go pro or something, you know.
Well, you do that ultimate team stuff too. That is a step different from
well, there's
where
a whole another level of shit involved in that. You know what I mean? Like strategy.
Oh yeah, that's where
like you have to know the meta plays. You have to know this. You have to know that.
That's where all of EA's whales are. All of them. That's how they get all their big money tickets.
Oh yeah, man. Hey man, I spent some money, but not crazy amounts. Not like those dudes. But I've spent some money. Yeah, you don't have to. You absolutely don't have to. But if you want to like skip a bunch of hours of grinding that 45, 50-hour a week jobs do not allow, then spend a little money.
Yeah, it just takes the immersion part out for me. As soon as I see two DeMarcus Wares on the same, like on opposite ends from each other coming at me, I'm like, I don't need to be here.
I hate that too.
Well, you can't play the same,
but duplicate players on one roster definitely takes you in a different realm.
You can't do duplicate players on one roster.
No. The last time I played an ultimate team game in any way was like probably 4 or 5 years ago. So
okay. Yeah, you like so that you guys both have the same card, and in many instances you will because, everybody's team is always like slightly different because everybody always ends up preferring a different play style or like they're trying to develop a different team chemistry or whatever. But at different points during the game, there are certain player cards that like you kind of gotta have that card. Yeah. If you don't have that card, the other person's going to use that card too. Doesn't mean they're going to beat you, but they're going to have an advantage because, like, that's the card. Like when Deion Sanders comes out for the first time, if you don't have Deion Sanders is going to eat you up on defense. Like, he's always nasty. Randy Moss sometimes is the case. It just depends on the year. Like last year because the high throw is so dominant, right? Like the high throw was like the thing to have last year if you had a big, tall, like tight end or wide receiver, right? Well, in Ultimate Team, it was even more so because like you're playing against even in the beginning of the game, everybody's
Johnson.
Well, in the beginning, like so the most fun time to play Ultimate Team is in the beginning because there's no like 99 level players. Everybody's like 80 to 90, right?
Yeah.
That's like the max. So it's much more challenging. Right at the end of the year, it gets boring as shit because everybody has all 99s, and it's like, what's the point?
Yeah.
But early on in the game, Pete Metzlars of Buffalo Bills fame. If you don't know him, played with Jim Kelly.
If you don't know,
he's a Hall of Famer. He's a Hall of Famer, guys. He's a Hall of Fame tight end. Like literally,
you're talking to two NFL junkies, and we don't know who he is. So I'm just like,
I know. But he was a famous tight end because he was absolutely massive, like almost 7 feet tall, like massive.
Jesus,
like huge fucking guy.
What's the name?
Right? Pete Metzelaars, and just butcher it. It'll come up. Trust me. Anyway, crazy last year because he was like 6'8", 6'9", I don't know, huge guy,
larger than everyone.
But was a good athlete too, like skinny, kind of like T-shaped, like white dude. And he was like the dominant card to have because you would literally just high throw the ball on a vertical to him, and in like probably at least 40% of the time, which is fine.
Yeah,
you have 4 downs.
Yeah,
he's gonna catch it, and he's gonna get like a 40-yard gain or a touchdown. It's like
Jesus.
Yeah, nice. But anyway. What were you saying? You had something pulled up, Jake?
Oh yeah, I was just checking his height. 6'7", 250.
Yeah,
big man.
All right, so I mean, I said
a big pass catcher,
but it's even better because now he's in urban legend territory where people think he's almost 7 foot tall.
Yeah,
I'm okay
you should. Yeah, you should tell that story like he's 7 feet tall.
I mean, he might as fucking well be.
All right? You know the 7 foot tall tight end out of Buffalo, Pete Metzelaars. You don't know that?
Pete Metzelaars. Get it right.
That's what I said.
Pete Pumpernickel.
Pete Pumpernickel.
I mean, there's some guys like that in the NFL right now. Jelani Woods about that big. Jelani Woods and then Moali Cox, the guys in Indianapolis.
Large man.
Big dudes. Well, anyway.
What division are we even doing this
we're doing the NFC South, sir.
No.
And you know what? That's a fantastic segue into the episode. Welcome in, folks. It's the NFC South. We're getting to the end of it here. I hope you've been watching. If you haven't, you're not ready. Let's just say that. If you haven't and you haven't been studying, you ain't ready. You ain't ready like we are. Who's going to get that sauce this year? That's right.
12 days.
You know.
You discounted sauce.
You know.
There's so much of it on the shelf right now.
I know.
Sauce for days.
Just. I mean, we're backstocked, dude.
I bet that football
we
can
can
hold a lot of sauce.
sell the shelf, and we got a whole nother shelf of sauce. You know what I'm saying? So
there's a backstock on sauce.
We're gonna start dropping the price on the sauce. We'll start giving it away for free. You know, just get it out there. Get some product circulation.
I'm gonna give me a tax break on sauce giveaway.
Get some brand recognition. You know what I mean? But anyway. So what a hot open. Anyway, we got the New Orleans Saints, we got the Carolina Panthers, the Atlanta Falcons, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in this episode. This is going to be a fun debate on who's where because I have no idea.
I don't care. Throw them all in the garbage can. The winner of this division last year was 8-9, and I think had like a negative 50-point differential.
I think the only team that is like
one surprising team this year.
I think the only team easy to pick in this division is who I think is going to be fourth because I think it's like fourth and then 3 threes, no 2s, no 1s, a 4 and 3 3s.
Who do you think is the 4?
I think it's Tampa Bay.
To me, I think it's tight between Tampa Bay and Carolina. I think Tampa Bay and Carolina are going to be close. Maybe Carolina. I mean, they both kind of have talented defenses. Tampa Bay's getting a little old on defense. You know, kind of past their prime of the Super Bowl run when they were so dominant.
Yeah,
but
I got it as there's a 2, there's a 3, and there's 2 4s for me, and those are the 2 4s.
The 2 4s are Carolina and Tampa Bay.
Yeah, I got the Falcons at the one above it, the 3 spot, I suppose. Because of the running back, they got Drake London, they got Kyle Pitts. Like as far as talent on a spreadsheet, they look pretty good.
I think the Falcons win the division this year. Honestly, they're my favorite.
I think it's the Saints. I
mean, maybe I don't know. There's question marks in the Saints too, but we'll get to it. I guess
there's question marks all over this division, but I think New Orleans. I think New Orleans has the most proven talent.
So let's start at the bottom and figure it out when we get there.
Yeah. Let's talk about Tampa Bay, yeah? Right?
Let's do it.
So, okay, let's talk about Tampa Bay, and then we'll have a little intermission because we're kind of jumping into Tampa Bay, but we need to talk about some news in the NFL. But we'll get to it anyway. So
I think Tampa Bay's backfield is going to segue perfectly into this news in the NFL because Rachaad White just stayed at the same tier of running back as the rest of those guys, and they all fell.
Yeah, you're right, which is very interesting. So, I mean, if we're talking about quarterback Baker Mayfield, I mean, we'll see what Baker's got. You know what? Like, he's probably got nothing. He flashed a little bit in LA. He had a game out there. You know, he showed he could still do it.
Yes, but I don't think he's got that coaching staff now, and it looks way too much like where he started in Carolina last year. That's why I think they're going to get last.
That's probably fair. I think he has a much better wide receiver room, though, in Tampa Bay than he did in Carolina. I think he has better coaching. Matt Rule was a train wreck in Carolina, and he lost his job because of it. To just go pick up another check in Nebraska while Carolina's still paying him because they guaranteed him that money. What a lucky man. Anyway. I was just talking to a lady about Nebraska, actually, by the way. She stopped in to get a car today. She's talking about
rein it in, Patrick.
Yeah. So anyway.
Cannot do this with Nebraska right now.
Sidebar.
Cannot.
Anyway,
it's hard enough
sidebar.
staying in the NFC South.
If you ever make it out to Omaha.
Don't.
Okay.
God damn it.
So, Baker Mayfield. I think Baker is interesting only in and of can he support Chris Godwin to me because – you know, on this team, if we're, I mean, nobody should draft Baker Mayfield.
That's the answer right there.
So let's talk about the other players.
Exactly. Yeah.
I think he could, man. He did it for Jarvis Landry. He did it for Jarvis Landry. He was wide receiver too. I mean, that's the question mark on this team. One, I mean, like, are any of the wide receivers relevant? They're gonna have value at some point in the draft. What is that point? Like Mike Evans is still Mike Evans, even if he's with Baker Mayfield.
You're right.
Is he going to suck way more than is he going to be way less of a fantasy value than he was with Tom Brady? Absolutely.
Well, where do you think Mike Evans' value exists though? Is it someone who can score touchdowns? Because I think that's the thing that you have to look at more than anything. It's not going to be about yard productions. Like that offense is not going to score a lot of points. And so who suffers the most from that? And I think Mike Evans is one of those cats.
He suffers the absolute most. And the rest
That's
of the
what
fantasy world would agree with us because his ADP has historically plummeted. Like you're talking about a guy who used to be in the top 20. And I mean, he's in the mid 30s, I think. You know what I mean? Like nobody wants him. And it's because we all know what Baker Mayfield is at this point in his career.
He's not a touchdown man.
No, he's just not an accurate passer of the football. He's not a good decision maker. He once in a while rises to the occasion, but otherwise crumbles under pressure. Like that's who Baker Mayfield is in the NFL. You know,
he's flashy, can be exciting, but he's not consistent. And I don't think he's top notch or close to it.
I think we all agree with that.
And I agree with you too, Cody. Like Mike Evans might benefit from the occasional big play down the field because he's still Mike Evans and he can still make a contested catch, even though he is getting older, and that efficiency might go down too.
Who's backing him up?
Who's backing him up?
Who's backing him up?
Kyle Trask.
Ugh.
Another unknown.
Yeah. I don't want to part of those receivers, man.
No. They could bring in a quarterback. Maybe I mean, how about this one? Maybe Mr. Fitzmagic. Dusts off the old beard.
No.
Jumps in the Tampa Bay uniform.
As fun as that sounds, no.
Here's the deal.
Too much money.
Here's the deal. Yeah, he is. Yeah, he's done.
Yeah.
He's not coming back. If someone like him does put on a Buccaneers jersey this year for any reason, then I'll look at those receivers again. But I don't think they're going to. I don't think they are in a position to. They don't need to float. They can suck right now, right? Like,
I'm interested. You're right. They're playing the Tom Brady. They're paying the Tom Brady tax. They're not going to be good for another few years.
Yeah.
Well, and they could win the division with 9 wins, so they're not.
That's true.
Super hungry.
Yeah.
They got a good defense, and they have maybe a budding young running back that could be a star.
Well,
maybe it could be. We'll see.
And to that notion, then the only thing of fantasy value on this team is Rachaad White, right?
Yes, and the interesting thing about Rachaad White too, I mean, he's going in best ball drafts. I've seen him going in the mid-20s. You know what I mean?
Do you think his value goes up now that Dalvin Cook and Ezekiel Elliott have jobs? Because I do.
I don't think they were ever. I don't think Tampa was ever really one of the top 5 series contenders for either of those two.
Oh, that's not how I mean that. I'm saying Ramondre Stevenson, his value comes down, and I'm blanking on the other man. Thank you, I appreciate that. See, I've already forgot about Breece Hall. Do you see that? Do you see how quickly that moved the fucking
no
needle?
longer draft Breece Hall.
And based on those things coming down, Rachaad White is worth more money now, and he was the only thing of fantasy value on this team, and now it's a little nicer.
Can I just pat myself on the back by saying I literally completed a trade for Breece Hall in Dynasty 2 days before this news dropped, by the way. Feel dirty about that. Got myself involved too. First rounder, DK, David Montgomery. You guys,
you really put someone over there.
I know.
You really did.
I think I did a little bit for this year anyway.
For this year.
But anyhow, I think Rachaad is gonna be a solid RB2. I think Rashad's gonna be a solid RB2. He's gonna get volume. Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt did it in Cleveland with Baker. They were valuable. Okay, like they're gonna run the ball because Baker sucks. What's gonna happen is Baker's gonna suck, and they're gonna be like, "Well, we have to run the ball. That's the only way we can move the ball."
And they got a young, good running back on a rookie deal who costs nothing.
A lot of carries.
Take a lot of carries.
Yeah, and Leonard Fournette's gone.
We've seen it 40 fucking times in the NFL. This is just one of those things where there's going to be someone with a lot of volume down there because what the fuck else are they doing?
And the other thing that benefits Rachaad White and is good for our league too is that he's actually a great pass catcher. He showed that last year many times. He can catch the ball very well. He's fluid out of the backfield. But again, Baker Mayfield is a deer in the headlights. He doesn't, you know what I mean? He can't throw the ball down the field properly. There's going to be a lot of dump
Baker
balls.
Mayfield, the joke was last year, you just put the circus music over him when he's scrambling in the pocket, and it just fits perfectly.
The most brutal thing ever was when OBJ's dad shared the clip of him just missing OBJ wide open over and over again.
You shouldn't have. We shouldn't have had to watch that, but
it was brutal. It was brutal.
I mean, I liked it.
It was great, but
I'm surprised Baker Mayfield's getting another shot. That's how bad I think he is.
I think
because of LA. That's what it was.
He did well over there. I think he's like, based on like the other quarterbacks in the NFL, he's a startable quarterback, like Sam Howell's in Washington, and it's like, give him a shot. You know what I mean? Like, I think he's
only for the sake that there's probably 3 or 4 teams every year that don't have one, so you got to put somebody in that spot. You know
I hear you. If it was only the Carolina stuff that I saw last year, I'd be like, nah, man, he's done. But what he did at LA and that first game that he came back and they only had like 6 plays that they could run because that's how long he'd been there. That. And they won that game, and he looked good. Like,
good throws.
You're right. That's how he does it. He does it once out of 10 weeks.
Yeah, and he did it in prime time, and everybody watched. And I loved it, and so did everybody else.
And unlike some other quarterbacks in the league that could potentially have the job that he now has, there's brand recognition there. He brings money to the team. That is also important in the NFL. And then the other thing is that he does have a playoff win. That matters. Like, it's a resume. It's their jobs. You know what I mean?
I know people still talk about Tim Tebow's playoff win. So
he's got a playoff win as a Brown.
Exactly. He played well that year. He played well that year. You know what I mean? Like he was not great, but he was perfectly adequate.
Serviceable.
Yeah. Okay.
So anyway,
we did it, guys. We did it again. That number 4 team. We got a lot of Buck news there.
We did. I don't think there's a relevant tight end there. Defense is aging. They're going to be hurt by the inefficiency of the offense. That's going to allow other teams to score more points. I would draft them a little bit lower than you probably would. I think that puts a bow on it for
way to go, everyone.
Yeah. All right.
Carolina next,
3.
you think?
I probably Carolina.
Oh, yeah.
That I feel good about that. I just forget how awful that receiving room is, and they got rid of DJ Moore.
Their receiving room is interesting to me too.
Go ahead.
Well, let's start at the top of the quarterback before we go to the wide receiver room. You know what I mean? Just because that influences.
Remember, we have an order that we do.
Yeah, we have an order. Remember? Come on, guys.
This made up structure.
Start with the quarterback.
Implement now on week 7.
Right.
I mean, I've been slowly implementing it, to be fair. But anyway, Bryce Young, kind of up and down. The team, obviously, if you read anything about him or you've heard any of the quotes or you've listened to any of the news, the team thinks he's the guy. I mean, he obviously is the guy. But, I mean, like, more so than just, like, he's the first-round pick and all this other stuff. If you hear what the reporters are saying about him and like the coaches, and then you're watching the way he carries himself, he's already carrying himself like the leader of that team, which I think is very important for a young quarterback. And he already seems to have that from the locker room too, which is not always the case, even for number 1 overall. I mean, all you got to do is look back at Jamarcus Russell.
Baker Mayfield.
Or Baker Mayfield, or Sam Darnold. You know what I mean? Like he wasn't a first overall, but
Sam Darnold, Zach Wilson, number 2 or 3 overall pick, has the same weight.
Exactly. And I think Bryce Young, on a leadership basis, has already done what he's needed to do. I mean, he got the praise from Aaron Rodgers at their joint practice. Aaron Rodgers thought he's like, that guy's going to be somebody. He came out and said that. He doesn't say that about everybody. I mean, although Rodgers has tried to take on this persona a little bit in the last few years of kind of like an elder statesman a little bit, if you haven't noticed.
I mean, but he is.
Yeah.
I mean,
but he carries himself like that.
It's that chapter of his life.
Yeah, like it seems to be accurately doing the current stage of his career.
Yeah, but like it's just interesting to see him talk like that because he never used to be like that type of guy, even just a few years ago. Like, you know what I mean? He was a little bit more brash even a few years ago, but anyway, did not do that great in his first preseason game. Wasn't as bad, I would say, as C.J. Stroud. C.J. Stroud got murked. I mean, played real bad, had a terrible time with his offensive line, just getting run over by the Patriots.
I mean, do you think it's possible that the Houston Texans have missed yet another quarterback draft?
Oh, God.
I think he just – you want to know what it was to me? One, their offensive line looked like a disaster. Like a disaster. And the Patriots weren't even playing like Miles Judon or like one or two of the other starters on the D-line, and they were just running through them, which is crazy to me.
Love that.
Well, Bryce only had 11 dropbacks in his game. I'm looking at now. And he took 1 sack, got hit a couple times too, got like 4 completions out of it. So there's already like reports of concern about the offensive line in Carolina.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking about Houston too. It's going to be a problem for both of them. You know what I mean? And do we see them get Sam Bradley? You know what I mean? Because that's what happened to him, right? I mean, Sam Bradley is the kid, right? Went to LA Rams. What's his guy? Sam, the guy who?
Bradford? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, not Bradford.
Oh,
Sam Bradford.
Okay.
Bradley.
I was like, I don't know.
It's been a long time
he was drafted by the St. Louis Rams. So.
That's what I'm saying. But what happened to him early on in his career is he showed promise and he got hit a bajillion times, and then there was no more Sam Bradford. Like that's
he
what
was basically like Trent Green, right?
I guess sure.
Tall, big arm, accurate, a lot of promise.
He might as well have been a Bart Starr. You know what I mean?
Got hit a lot.
A Bart Starr reference, everybody.
We just keep going back like 10 years each time.
Don't forget about Fran Tarkenton.
Reminds me a lot of Julius Caesar, you know?
Real Johnny Unitas out there, you know? Anyway, so the point being is that you can ruin a young quarterback with a bad offensive line and a bad system, and they get used to losing and they get hit too much, and then they're ruined, you know? So hopefully we really don't see that for Bryce Young. I mean, CJ Stroud's another matter. I think there was other problems with him, but we're talking about Bryce Young. So that'd be my concern with him. And the concern for the team in general. I mean, it's the preseason. You can't look too much into one game. You know what I mean? It's
true.
They're putting the offense.
It's training camp. Yeah.
Yeah. You know what I mean?
They're testing out certain plays they wouldn't normally do in those situations just to get looks sometimes, you know?
Exactly. And the players are, the players are playing hard because some of them are playing for their jobs. They're playing for starting positions and everything else. But we all know that they're not playing at 100%. Everybody's trying to not get injured. You know what I mean? Like, that's what's happening. So the book's obviously not written yet on Bryce Young. I don't think you should draft him. I mean, maybe he's a guy on the waiver wire later in the year if he gets hot. Maybe he puts something together week 8 and he starts running a little bit more. I don't know. He doesn't really have that pedigree either.
No, he doesn't.
And they got a veteran backup of Dalton, too. So if it goes the opposite direction, there's a chance he's not even a starter by the end of the year. If there is one of those situations where they're fearing a bad offensive line or some other reason ruining the quarterback. You know what I mean?
How is Andy Dalton still getting jobs, by the way? He has been horrifically bad.
He did just fine in New Orleans.
I disagree, sir.
If Baker Mayfield's getting work, Andy Dalton can get some work.
Sure.
Thank
Captain
you.
Redbeard, I guess.
He's
the veteran presence at this point, and that's about it.
The elder statesman, if you will.
Offense on the fly.
Mm-hmm.
That's his thing.
Yeah. Anyway, sure. So that's how I feel about Andy Dalton at this point in his career. He had some good fun there with Shadows with Cinco for a while, but that was about it.
I don't think he ever threw to Chad. I think he was throwing to AJ Green. Nah, it was him and AJ Green. Nah, it was him and AJ Green.
To Chad?
That was Carson Palmer.
Oh, yeah. See, there's so much similar guy. Anyway, Carson Palmer, Andy Dalton, same guy.
Carson Palmer, way better than Andy Dalton.
Yeah. Way better. Yeah. Way better than Andy Dalton. Better. Yeah, you really did a disservice to Carson Palmer there.
It is the same guy. All right, moving on.
Right. That ain't right.
Pure conjecture at this point. Anyhow, Miles Sanders, folks. What do we think?
I don't want to think about
he's on Carolina. That's what I think.
He's going as solidly as an RB2 right now because of volume. And everybody thinks he's going to be what he was at Philly, which is insane to me.
Well, Carolina was able to run the ball last year with no names, and he had the best year of his career last year before getting paid. So there's reason to believe that he can.
You remember they shipped out McCaffrey and then found a running game for a few weeks, and then started to get shut down.
Yeah. So I mean, here's the deal: they're giving good money to a running back, and they have a quarterback who's a rookie. So volume wise, they're going to run the ball. You know what I mean? It's one of those patterns to pick up on, like who are the running backs if you're gonna get into volume games. Like you got your top talent, sure, but to fill out a roster, you like a Miles Sanders who is gonna get force fed 16 touches a game.
He's just not gonna be. He never makes it on my team because of where he gets drafted. I'm never gonna take him.
He's always been an Eagle too, though. You know what I'm saying? So his
ADP right now is about RB18, which puts him about that fourth tier of running backs, like the Kenneth Walker, Alexander Madison.
Interesting. Alexander Madison or Miles Sanders?
How about neither? Because I'm not taking.
Nope. No.
I would not take them.
That's a tough one.
It is a tough one. I like Miles Sanders there because of the situation
and proven starting running back capability. Alexander Madison does not have that.
Why is everybody getting the Alexander Madison hate out of you? I just want to know.
You know why?
He's never been a starting running back, and we're all drafting him as if he's going to play 17 games and carry the ball 300 times and be fine. He's never done it. He's never done it, and we're all just being like, he's going to do it.
Shit on Jalen Hurts last offseason. I'm throw the football.
Still can't. Glorified running back.
There was way more reason. To trust Jalen Hurts than Alexander Madison. And again, I'll keep beating
answer the question though: Madison or
Miles Sanders.
Miles Sanders. I agree. Miles Sanders should be drafted.
Okay.
Alexander Madison.
Okay.
Because I think they both should be being drafted at like 26, 27, not 18, 19. That's what I think.
Where's Rachaad White going?
Rachaad White?
Yeah, where's Rachaad White going?
Much later. He should be ahead of them. Exactly.
Oh, he's in the same tier, but the bottom of it. RB24.
Telling you, man. He should be in front of both of them.
Oh, you might be right.
I am.
You might be right. You might be right.
So you've got Miles Sanders and like Javonte Williams, David Montgomery territory?
Dude, I do not want any part of Javonte Williams.
Kind of interesting.
I'm interested.
He stays where he's at.
I'm interested in David Montgomery.
It's question marks there too, but it's because David Montgomery
always
gets
looks
hurt
so
too,
good.
But
David Montgomery always looks so good. You watch him play football, you're like, that's how that position's supposed to be played. That's good.
Well, he runs hard. I don't think he's special. I think he's a good, solid running back. I think he's got a little bit of breakaway speed. He doesn't have top end speed, he's going to be a better Jamal Williams. Well. He's going to be better than Jamal Williams, and look what Jamal Williams did last year. I don't think you can 1-to-1 that because Jamal Williams, I think,
he had 17 touchdowns, 16. What was it?
Broke Barry Sanders' record. Barry Sanders trash. You heard
it. There's also something to the fact that every team that Jamal Williams goes on, they just love him. He just wins the team over immediately.
It's true.
And he's
great.
They want to block for him. They want him to score a touchdown.
Every audio clip out of that guy is
great on the goal line. He's not so great everywhere else.
Yep.
He used to be much more versatile. He's older now. I mean, he used to be a great pass catching back.
That's how running backs work, right?
Used to be. How many years has he been in the league?
He's been around, man.
This is his third team. So
he was part of the double-headed monster with Aaron Jones for quite a while.
That's right. I forgot about that. 28 years old.
Yeah. Jamal's the man. He's cool. I wish we still had him in Green Bay, but I understand what we done.
I'd love to have him in Dallas. You kidding me? Give me Tony Pollard and Jamal Williams. That's the 1-2. That'd be great.
That would take away a lot of concerns that you have in Dallas about the durability of Tony Pollard. But
I know. Inside the 10, pull Jamal Williams in there.
Heck yeah, man. It pisses you off because Tony Pollard ain't getting them touchdowns. But as a team,
hey, I'm talking as a Dallas Cowboys fan.
No, I know.
Yeah.
But we're getting away from it. I mean, again, I think Miles Sanders and Alexander Madison are going too high.
Who's receiving?
Yeah, let's talk
Carolina.
So you have in this mix a huge question mark at wide receiver room. I know who I would take if he fell to me because I think he's going to get a crap ton of targets early in the year, and you could, potentially use him as trade value. And that would be Adam Thielen. It's going to be a young rookie. He's going to have a veteran presence on that team. He's clearly the best route runner to start with in terms of technique. He's not going to have the explosiveness of the other two guys, but he's going to be a solid, reliable option. And I think Bryce Young is going to cling to him like moss to a tree because that's what he's going to need.
He's the safety blanket for sure.
Yeah, exactly.
Man.
But you think that goes away after week 6?
I think he wears down because Adam Thielen's getting old, and I don't think he can play a full 17 anymore. That's what I think.
He got paid too, so you never know how the person's going to handle that, and they're going to get complacent or they're going to keep on keeping on.
Yeah. I mean, what do you think, Cody?
I think it's hard to know names in the wide receiver room, and
okay. Well, the other ones are DJ Chark and Jonathan Mingo. Jonathan Mingo was a second-round wide receiver pick. He had a big career in Ole Miss, played in the SEC, had a good senior year. A lot of people are high on him. He got taken pretty highly in dynasty rookie drafts. He went kind of behind the other big names at wide receiver. So he was like the fifth or sixth wide receiver off the board in dynasty drafts behind JSN, Addison, Quentin Johnston, and Zay Flowers. Then it was Jonathan Mingo and Marvin Mims in Denver. So just for some context.
Yeah, without seeing that offense and not knowing if Bryce Young can do it, I just don't want any part of any of those receivers. It doesn't matter where they go. I just even for depth. Don't care.
You wouldn't take Adam Thielen in like the 10th round if he's sitting there?
No.
That's about where he's going. He's going real late.
No, I wouldn't.
Well, who are you going to take around there if you want a wide receiver then? Because there's not that many other guys right there. I mean, you're talking in that range. You're looking at KJ Osborne, Paris Campbell.
KJ Osborne definitely before Adam Thielen.
That's right where he is. Though.
Romeo Dobbs.
Romeo Dobbs before Adam
Romeo
Thielen.
Dobbs too.
Michael Gallup.
Michael Gallup before Adam Thielen. Yes.
Really, the number one.
Yeah, because what I don't know. I don't know.
You're taking a third wide receiver over a number one wide receiver.
Thinking about what kind of person I'm going to be putting on my team at that point for wide receiver. I'm not getting an every week starter. I'm looking for a lottery pick that's going to have like a high ceiling sometime later. I don't see Adam Thielen in that role ever. I'm not looking for consistent, like middle road. You know what I'm saying? Middle road wide receiver numbers there at my lottery pick selections. I don't need that. I need a guy that could surprise some people and be of a high value later.
Well, if you're going to do that, I mean, I think if you're going straight lottery pick around there, I think you go potentially Rashee Rice would be a better pick because the Kansas City offense is wide open at wide receiver, but nobody knows who's getting. Nobody knows, and it could
That's
be
a good
Rashee
point.
Rice.
Yeah, it could be,
I mean?
and he could, and like the ceiling of a character like that is like top 5, whereas like, okay, cool, give me some consistency from Adam Thielen. What do you want? What do you even do? Give me 7 points a week? I just don't.
So would you rather take? I'm looking at this tier list, and it's got Adam Thielen and Jonathan Mingo, the rookie he was telling you about, in the same exact tier. So
in that scenario, I would take Mingo.
Okay.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, because that's the blind potential, not blind, but unseen. You know what
absolutely.
I mean? Thielen, we know where his ceiling most likely is. Yep. Now he's not going to have that number one receiver above him like he's had for most of his career, but unless Mingo turns out to be the guy, and then he absolutely will. You know,
yes.
There's also a roster construction question to be had too, though. Like if your wide receivers are like Tyreek Hill, Mike Williams, a couple other guys like that are guys that are like they could go nuclear. Or like, I mean, Tyreek Hill lately is like so consistent, especially last year. But he used to be a guy who could go nuclear, and then maybe he wouldn't do much next week, right? Mike Williams is a better example, right? And other guys like that. If you need somebody, okay, that you're like, okay, this might be the week where Mike Williams screws me. You could throw Adam Thielen in the flex and know that you're going to get like 8 points. Because he's got to catch 4 passes, 40 yards, or it's like 6 passes, 40 yards, whatever. You know what I mean? So
there is a scenario in which you might need 7 points, and I'm probably not drafting for that scenario. I guess is what it comes down to. Like I'm looking at that waiver. Yeah, I'm looking at the waiver wire. I think I'm like, man, I got a flex spot or a wide receiver spot that I don't know about, and I need 8 points to win. Or I need 8 points to stave something off. You know, something like that. Like, okay. But I'm not drafting it.
That's fair. I mean,
because they exist all over the waiver wire, boys.
Yeah,
you can find 7 points all day on there.
Especially in our league. You know, there's always stuff in the waiver wire. It's just part of what makes it fun.
At least with the wide receiver. There's always in that like projected 9 points for the week range, 2 or 3 bodies every week.
Wide receiver, tight end, quarterback. Obviously, running back is the most shallow in our league, as it is in most leagues.
Yep.
But I think obviously the most valuable player to be had is Miles Sanders on this team. I don't think anybody really needs to be taking a look at Hayden Hurst unless he proves to have some type of special connection.
I've been hearing some hype about him. The fantasy footballers been talking him up quite a bit. Not as like the tight end pool is a cesspool, so keeping that in mind. They're talking about if there's going to be a tight end that gets
a tight end pool's a big bullshit.
Gets 2 or 3 games out of the season where they've got multiple touchdowns. They think they could be in that group. So.
If you see him get hot, like cool, throw him in there. But again,
I mean, Bellinger was on a few teams last year at certain points. I mean, nobody even knew who that guy was. That ought to show you something about the tight end, landscape. So
but you got to consider some people. You got 12 people, not everybody's going to have Travis Kelce and Mark Andrews. There's going to be some shit tight ends that are going to start every week.
Well, and I think later in the year, if Hayden Hurst is healthy and you have other tight ends injured, like you always
do. You think Hayden Hurst gets drafted in this league?
He absolutely should not be.
Let me see what the tight end rankings look like.
I'd like to know.
I mean, there's 10, even after the first 12 tight ends go off the board, there's another 8 tight ends that should go before Hayden Hurst.
Definitely not.
What's he at?
20. His ADP's tight end 21.
Yeah.
Which is, if we were doing a 2 tight end league, he would barely make it.
Yeah. The other tight ends after the top 12, just a few names in like that realm are still like Dalton Schultz, Gerald Everett, Irv Smith, all those guys should go way before Hayden Hurst,
Yep.
So, yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, too much Hayden Hurst talk.
Just enough.
I don't know. We spent a lot of time.
Just enough.
Yeah, I think it's appropriate.
Yeah. Okay. Let's get out of Carolina.
That's about it for the bottom 2 in the division, right? Because those
love
are
how we're
two
just
fours.
cruising through these teams because we just don't want to talk about.
I mean, we put in.
It's not don't want to talk
we
about.
We put
it.
in some time.
There's not much there.
Talk about.
We knew the NFC South would be like this.
I want to get to my next team, which is Atlanta, because that one I feel like is going to be the most exciting to talk about.
You both think Atlanta's number 2, huh?
I could see them taking over the top, but the way that team was ran last year and like how they just didn't seem to be able to read the room and adjust to anything doesn't give me high hopes for them taking over a division.
Interesting. I have a different take on that.
What is it?
What do you got, Cody?
I don't think they got it. I don't think they got the quarterback. I think Kyle Pitts' weird little career that he's had so far is indicative of what he's going to end up being. I am not excited about that. Bijan Robinson is a stud, and I think he'll shine the brightest on this squad. But it's because the room is so dark. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, nice.
That's what it is. I think Bijan Robinson is going to be a fantasy maven for 2 years, and then those legs are going to get used up, and he's going to be on a bad team the whole time, and everyone's going to remember Bijan Robinson?
Oh, maybe.
That's what I think.
Maybe not. I think Atlanta is going to surprise a lot of folks this year, actually. And I agree with you in some regards, Jake, that they could have made the switch to Desmond Ridder quicker, right? But the problem was that they were winning games. And they, for a minute, they almost won the division.
But God damn, were they ugly, though. And
they were.
Anybody that's
so
had
bad.
Kyle Pitts on their roster knows that they don't know how to implement their weapons. And it wasn't like a small detail that you might notice. It was completely disregarding somebody they'd spent huge amounts of draft capital on. They were using him as a blocker.
Yeah.
Tight end prospect in a generation.
Yeah.
He was a blocker.
That's why I'm like, all right, they've got tons of talent, so I think they're going to be fun to watch, and there's some potential for some players. But I don't think they've got that Derek Carr consistency that's going to be enough to get that 9-win division title.
I don't think they have a Derek Carr, but what they do have is they don't have Marcus Mariota anymore. And if you watched Desmond Ridder last year, he threw the ball down the field. He threw the ball down the field. And that's what you have to have. Like, hey, Jameis Winston was not a good quarterback for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But you know who he was a good quarterback for? Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, baby. So that's what I'm saying. If you got a quarterback who's going to throw
and Olave
the ball
for about
field,
5 weeks last year. Remember
that's what I'm saying.
Oh, man.
If you got somebody who's just going to wind up and sling it and they can do it, it's good for fantasy.
It's true. That's why I want to talk about Chris Olave and Derek Carr, but that's coming up soon.
Oh, it's going to be great. But anyway,
Drake London.
We'll keep this in. Oh, never mind.
Go ahead.
Sorry, I'm back on Carolina. I got my wires crossed. Keep going.
All right. So what I'm saying about Atlanta is, I think you have kind of an old school football coach there in Arthur Smith. He loves to run the football, but they were damn good at it last year, and they did it with Cordero Patterson, Tyler Algier, and Caleb Huntley, not Caleb Huntley. Yes, Caleb Huntley. By the way, Caleb Huntley. Yeah, it is Caleb Huntley. That's right. I was confusing him with the Baltimore guy for a minute. But anyway,
Baltimore.
Three Baltimore Orioles. Anyway, Cordero Patterson kind of became a star a little bit later in his career. He had some good fun here as a fantasy.
Good fantasy guy.
8 years in the making. But talking that guy up for a decade.
Mm-hmm.
And Tyler Algier was prolific in college. I told you guys about him last year. Like in the bowl game, he had 5 touchdowns. His senior year, like he was lighting stuff up in college. He's a good running back.
Mm-hmm.
Like he could start out for other teams, and he could be a good solid running back. But he's not Bijan Robinson. And they have a fantastic offensive line, and they have a coach who knows how to create a good running offense.
And
I think Bijan's going to be electric.
Yeah. A lot of volume.
We have potentially a number 1 fantasy player on this squad.
Yep.
And man, after talking about 2 other teams in this division, that's kind of nice to be talking about.
We have a first-round pick on this team, is what we have.
Yeah.
Bijan should go in the first round.
He will.
For sure.
He will.
About that 6 or 7, maybe 8.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
But he's got that potential to be the number 1 overall.
He does. He absolutely does, because 20 carries and 5 catches a game is not crazy to think for him at all.
Huh.
Because why wouldn't you? I mean, maybe if they listen to the
they could literally win the division by giving the ball to Bijan Robinson 25 times
and run a play action and chucking it up to Drake London and Kyle Pitts. That's what they should do. Yeah,
they should.
And you know what? They have a good run defense too. They got some dogs in the middle of that line.
Yeah.
And they got AJ Terrell, who's a serviceable cornerback. He's not great, but he's not bad. He's mid-level, I would say. And, maybe they find another playmaker. I don't know who they took in the draft. Obviously, they spent big capital on Bijan instead of going defense. So I don't know what they have on their back end. Historically, their secondary has been pretty bad in recent years. So we'll see if that's any better. I mean, even if they're a mid-level defense, if they're a mid-level defense, like say they're like defense 18, and then they can run the ball well, they can absolutely win this division.
They drafted a strong safety, a free safety, and a couple of nickel backs they got from free agency.
Interesting. So obviously they see the need in their secondary just like everybody else did.
Looking to get some speed on defense.
Yeah, I mean, it's what they need. So,
God, I'm so jazzed. I'm so jazzed.
Any other
so
wide
close.
receivers in Atlanta that you like besides Drake London, or is it
it's
him
Drake
and
London,
everybody else?
You wanna just make up some sounds and call it like the 4th receiver on the squad because no one has a good argument.
No. We got it. Well,
his
one to make up. I'll give it to you. Olamide Zacchaeus. Come on, man.
Zacchaeus.
Yeah.
Wow.
He's the wide receiver too on this team.
Jesus, how about that?
Yeah.
I'm glad that you won't be able to get away with this after today because Madden will be downloaded once this podcast is over.
Who did you just make up?
Olamide Zacchaeus.
And for the Falcons, because I got the depth chart up, and I don't.
You got.
I remember seeing Zacchaeus like on a jersey last year.
Oh, he's definitely in there, man.
Okay,
unless he switched teams. Okay. Well, I'm gonna fact check it right now, sir. Now, anyway, Kyle Pitts, where you guys drafted him? This is a conversation.
I'm not. Is he? I'm not. I'm not drafting Kyle Pitts.
Top 5, dude.
I'm not drafting Kyle Pitts.
I don't know. It's going to depend. It's going to be a contextual. If other people are sleeping on him, I'd be iffy to take him where I would need to take him from. To be
if you tell me the 4 tight ends that go before and after him, I can tell you right now. I bet I would take all of those tight ends over Kyle Pitts.
I see tight end 6 on my list, and I got Darren Waller at the 5 spot. Who are you taking out of those 2?
Darren Waller.
Yeah, I would take Kyle Pitts right after that, though. I would take Kyle Pitts before Dallas Goedert.
Dulcich? How do you fucking say his name?
Dulcich.
Where is he play? Where's Dulcich play?
Denver.
Oh God,
Kyle
Sean
Pitts.
Payton likes him too. Been a lot of hype about him this offseason.
Dulcich. I'm not getting Kyle Pitts.
He's the
Not
tight
doing
end
it.
13 on this list. That's why I put. Okay, Tyler Higbee.
Oh, dude.
Hold on. You
You're
said
out of your fucking mind.
you said the tight end 13.
Yeah, that's where Dulcich is. That's
Well,
where
where's Kyle Pitts going?
6. We just said that. That's when we opened this conversation.
So then who's 7 and 8?
I just wanted to see how full of shit you were.
Oh,
Goddard
well,
and
okay.
Ingram.
I said the 2 on either side of him, the 4. So
Okay.
No, I heard you,
Well,
and I wanted to
that's
see how
fair.
far you dip them down. So I
Oh,
threw the tight
got
end
it.
13 in
yeah,
there.
you threw Dulcich in there, and I was like, well, I want to do it because I said I would, but God, are those really 2 away from each other? That's bullshit. Bullshit. Why would you lie to me like that?
Expose you.
Well, didn't work.
No, it goes. So after Pitts, it's Goddard, then Ingram, then Njoku, then Freiermuth, and then Dalton Kincaid.
Freiermuth is about where I would take Pitts. That's the line for me.
Man, I think you're really undervalued.
Yeah.
I think if he falls past Dallas Goddard, you should take him. I mean, it's for.
I can't say I blame him because there's that strong level of trepidation attached to the Kyle Pitts because, again, top 5 tight end doesn't perform ever is kind of been his MO.
Because he played with shitbag Matt Ryan one year, right? And then
Matt Ryan,
and then Marcus Mariota.
I hear you, but when you're that kind of talent, you're a generational talent, and you're at a position that's typically known as the support blanket for shitty quarterbacks. The argument doesn't really hold up.
I just loved getting to say shitbag Matt Ryan.
Shitbag Matt Ryan. That man was an MVP.
Not that year he's talking about, he wasn't.
Oh man. Anyway, he really soiled his career in his later years. Anyway, so I mean, Kyle Pitts and then Drake London. I think you could take Drake London as a fringe wide receiver too. I think he's got that level of talent. Yeah, that's about where he's going. You know.
Okay.
So,
I feel good.
I
feel pretty good.
Wide receiver too. I'd feel pretty damn good.
I feel pretty good about that.
He mixes in there right around like terrible.
As long as I got like a stud. You know what I mean? Like I couldn't have a bottom tier 1 receiver and then have Drake London as my number 2. I'd feel really nervous about that.
Oh, you can't do
that. You know what I'm saying? Like I need to have like a Tyreek, and then
you need to have like a Tyreek, a Keenan Allen, Amari Cooper type character, and then Drake London. That's what you want. Yeah. Because that's what you would end up with in that scenario. It's like,
and I won't end up with Keenan Allen.
I mean, I would love, You were knocking Keenan Allen a few weeks ago, man.
I'm not going to wind up with Keenan Allen. Everybody else
forget.
thinks he is higher than I do, so I won't have him.
I mean, didn't you just say you wanted him or you won't have him?
No. I won't have Keenan Allen on my team because everyone values him more than I do.
I think he's going to be great.
I think he's going to be okay, and I think Mike Williams is the guy there. That's who you want, and you can get him cheaper too.
We already did that episode though.
We did, and Mike Williams is going to finish higher than Keenan Allen this year. Yeah.
All right. Anyway, we're rehashing old arguments. So
just like he did last year.
I mean, maybe. Anyhow.
Throws another dig at the end. All right, conversation over. Back. Rein it in.
All right, it's over. Nobody should draft the Falcons probably on defense. I don't think they're going to do anything for you. Moving on.
New Orleans, the team's going to win that division this year.
I mean, I think it's still up for debate. Obviously, it's a close division.
Definitely.
I mean, New Orleans, based on history, I guess you could favor them because New Orleans has been a good team in that division for a very long time. Other than the recent upstart by Tampa Bay, they've kind of dominated that division.
And they have the best quarterback in the division.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes, they do. Very clearly the most experienced, with the most pedigree, with the most consistent stats.
And the best receiving room. And the best receiving room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, they have the best wide receiver room. I mean, between they have the best wide receiver in the division. They have Chris.
Yes, they do. Yep.
Well, I mean, yeah, I guess so.
Potentially.
At this point in the
Especially
career,
fantasy-wise.
yes.
Yeah, today.
I mean, it's hard
Michael
to.
Thomas.
Well, so anyway, let's talk about Derek Carr for a second, right? So Derek Carr comes in here, much maligned after the disaster that was the Las Vegas Raiders passing offense last year. Even though him and Devontae Adams put up massive numbers, they fell apart in the second half of games. There was many a game they had won, and they completely disintegrated partially because of coaching. Josh McDaniels, I mean, the guy can't get it right. I just don't think
he's a head coach. He's not.
Yeah, he can't do it. He can't. Mm-mm. He can't hold the team together for a whole year. Every project of his falls apart. It is a pattern now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But he's gonna have one more chance this year, which is kind of crazy to me because he's still a coach out there.
I think it's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, they were in a panic mode because they had to fire Greer the way they did. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's gonna take some time to recover from that.
That's true. But anyway, I don't think it was all his fault. I think there was other things around it. I don't think he was particularly good, though, last year in certain situations. However, he's one of the best deep ball throwers in the league, and you're going to pair him with one of the most explosive young rookies who was a proven deep route winner. Like he was winning on deep routes down the field, 20-yard plus routes down the field consistently, and was making great catches and showed a lot of agility on the sideline many different times. And, was kind of had the legs cut out from him midway through the year by injuries. If that doesn't happen this year, it's wheels up, baby. I mean, Chris Olave could be a top 5 wide receiver this year.
I want Olave on my team.
Yeah, especially where he's going. Because this is what I've been loving to do in best ball drafts. What I do, he's wide receiver 12, which is a travesty. It's a travesty. There's other wide receivers.
Higgins territory. That
seems odd.
As good as Jalen Waddle is, Chris Olave should go in front of him because he's the one on the team.
I think you're probably right.
Yeah, they should swap.
Chris Olave and Jalen Waddle. If I'm sitting with the ability to choose either of those guys, I don't know though.
Both of them potential to score a lot of touchdowns, but one of them's got Tyreek Hill taking balls from him.
Exactly.
Was not a problem last year.
Was not a problem.
Was not a problem.
But definitely wouldn't be a problem for Olave. You know what I mean? It's not even a risk.
Yeah.
However,
let's
not forget
that Michael Thomas exists.
Was on the field for the first 2 weeks. He played very well, and then he got hurt. So we'll see, man.
I'm father timed on Michael Thomas.
Me too.
I'm out.
But reportedly, Derek Carr has been quoted multiple times this offseason saying, "I love that dude," about Michael Thomas. So we'll see.
Derek Carr's character has been questioned by his team before. And
that's true.
You know what I mean?
But he Derek Carr seems to pair well with veteran wide receivers, though. That's kind of been proven.
Derek Carr was on the team that had the number 1 wide receiver fantasy-wise last year for a while. And Adams was up there, right?
Yeah. I mean, Michael Thomas ain't on that level.
He's not.
No, but is Chris Olave on that level right now?
It's not on Devontae Adams level, but they're different. They're different players.
For a fantasy value this year, is he on the same level as Devontae Adams?
It's much less.
Put him in the top 5 territory, right?
Yeah.
It's much less of a sure bet, but he could be. I mean, Devontae Adams is sure as snow at this point in his career. You know what I mean? I don't know what that's a good reference, but sure as water is wet.
No, man. Sure as snow. I like that. I like
that. Sure
as
snow.
Sure as snow.
Sure as it will snow in
Wisconsin. You know what they mean?
That's what I'm saying. You know what I meant. Just moving on. All right. So, anyway,
the running back room over there looks pretty cloudy.
Yes, it does.
Does it?
And
yeah,
it absolutely does. Yeah, I mean, and I think people are going to overdraft Alvin Kamara, which is silly to me. The one you want early on in the year is Jamal Williams.
Yep.
You want Jamal
Oh,
Williams
for sure.
weeks 1 through 4.
I think you want.
1 through 3.
I think where you
He's
can get
only-
him, you want him anyway. I think he's going to get a lot of touchdowns.
Yeah, and he's a perfect guy to take in the draft too.
Yeah,
Because
but
he's
where
gonna
do you
light it
want
up.
Like he's going to
Yeah,
provide value, sure.
where's
but
he
not
going?
in the second
Where's he going?
round.
Where's he
you know
going?
what I mean?
Where's he going? Well,
Nah,
definitely
he's
not
not-
the second round.
That's what I mean. Like it's
Yeah.
relevant to where you want him. Where you want him.
Yeah, where's he going?
Jamal Williams is going like in the 30s. You know what I'm saying? Like Jamal Williams is going around like Rashad Penny territory. And right now, with the reports that I've been hearing out of Philly, I absolutely want Jamal Williams over Rashad Penny. Because we could cover some news in Philly, or I'll keep it close to the vest. Because if you ain't paying attention, then you should be paying attention. Now, all I'm saying is Jamal Williams is the guy. Kendre Miller sprained his knee. Todd claims it's not severe because Todd's got him on his dynasty team. Todd's praying. All right. All I'm trying to say is I think Kendre Miller is going to have a rough rookie season. He's already been injured twice, and it's not even a season yet.
See that I'm stealing this from the fantasy footballer, so I'll plug them. But they talked about and they referenced with this team, the same team back when Kamara's rookie season. It was Adrian Peterson was number 1 on the depth chart, and then it was I think Ingram, and then Kamara as a 2 and a 3. And Kamara was I think the starter by like week 5 or 6 that season. And they're looking at this rookie thinking, all right, it's kind of the same trajectory he could take. And they're thinking maybe Kamara's losing a step. You know what I mean? Because he was not efficient last year. I know there was other things on his mind, sure, but yeah.
Yeah, like beating up people in Las Vegas.
But have they gotten that much better?
I think they're much more efficient with Derek Carr as the quarterback than Andy Dalton.
Yeah, they'll have a real quarterback this year.
They're going to be able to move the ball better.
They'll score more points this year for sure.
And they have other guys that we haven't talked about too that are going to help their efficiency too. That are going to be pieces that are going to help them in offense. But I don't know how much they've been doing with their offensive line. It's one of the offensive lines that I'm kind of ambiguous about. I don't know how their line's going to look. I think they're probably going to be mediocre. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think I heard news that one of their big time offensive linemen got hurt. I do recall hearing that, and is maybe out for the season. So I don't think that helps. Like we said, I think Jamal Williams is the one you want to have. I think you're going to be able to get him potentially as like your 4th running back, which sounds amazing to me. He's like, sign me up for that.
Mm-hmm.
I think Kendre Miller maybe later in the year. I wouldn't draft Kendre Miller with all but my like 14th pick. Maybe I'm not interested in that. They're going to bring in Kareem Hunt. I think Kareem Hunt's either going to New Orleans or he's going to Minnesota.
Yeah,
and if they bring Kareem Hunt in, I mean, that it makes it even more murky.
Wherever Kareem Hunt lands is going to grenade that fantasy running back room.
Yeah, I mean, it would. I mean, if Kareem Hunt goes to Minnesota, like goodbye Alexander Madison. I don't like him anyway, but
it's true. It's true, and I almost want to see that just so that I'm not like the one holding the Alexander Madison bag if it goes bad because I like him. You know what I mean? Like I almost want because like I was super bummed when Zeke fucking signed with New England because I wanted Ramondre. And I feel the opposite about like Alexander Madison. Like I like him, but like I would like that to not have to be my problem. You know what I'm saying? Because I just don't know.
We're all forgetting about Leonard Fournette too. Leonard Fournette's probably going to sign with the team early in the year too.
Yeah, but did you watch Leonard Fournette run last year? It was so bad. He couldn't do it.
These other guys, like
he
was the worst. He's the worst of the 4.
Thanks for admitting that because it was the worst by a stretch.
Yeah, he was the worst of the 4, but they were all inefficient. That's why they're all looking for teams.
Because to say that Dalvin and Leonard Fournette's aging looked the same would be
disingenuous.
But they all were less efficient.
Criminal.
Earlier in their career, all 4 of them.
Yeah.
But anyway, murky running back room. I think Jamal's the one you want. If Alvin Kamara somehow falls and you can get him as your 4th, 5th guy, sure, take the risk. But he's not going to be on my team, man.
I don't think he'll be on my team either. I get the feeling that someone else still thinks highly of Alvin Kamara.
He might be one of those guys that slips through the crack, though. He might be one of those ones where a lot of people, and because exactly the way you guys both feel about him, so I think there's a steal potential there.
Could be.
Because, like, look where he's gone historically, like, in his career. Like, sure, he was less efficient, but, like, is it going to fall off a shelf in a year and a half?
Dave or Bailey is going to take him. Dave or Bailey is going to, like, take him before Rashad White is what's going to happen in our league. Because it's Alvin Kamara. That's what's going to happen.
I think you're right. I think there's going to be enough old news people in our league to where they're going to take him before his value is really there.
Yep. And that's why I won't have him. I probably wouldn't have him anyway. You got to be also, I think, in fantasy, we've been talking over the course of these episodes about like different like ways to think in the draft. And one of the ways that I like to think, I would say, especially this year when I'm doing all these drafts, is you have to be willing, and the footballers talk about this too, because I know we all listen to them. You have to be willing to be wrong on certain guys. Like you have to like you have to put your flag in the ground and be like, I believe this about this person, and I'm not drafting them. So where's the other value around that? You know what I mean? And maybe, and there could be a line. There could be a line that actually, okay, they fall behind that line. Okay, now they're
Rashad Penny. That's the line.
Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's just like you have to have those type of things.
You got to believe in it.
Otherwise, you make mistakes. And you take guys where you shouldn't just because of a name. And that's a mistake.
And that's, I think, where the mock drafts help so much. Because it helps you identify who those people might be. Because you get to that spot and you're looking at like 4 names at the top of this list and you're like, you know what I mean? Like you kind of cringe about all of them. Because sometimes it's not just one person in a spot you don't like. It's a whole range of people you want nothing to do with. Those are the spots where like maybe I'll take a quarterback at the turn of the second or third round because look what's going to be back to me and look what I'm looking at right now, and they don't look that much different.
Got it.
Or you could get in a situation too where it could be like, you could have like Chris Godwin, Deontay Johnson, Kyle Pitts, Dallas Goedert, an interesting quarterback or two here. But then like there's that rookie that you were like, then there's like Jordan Addison, 7 guys down. And you don't want to end up just taking whoever's at the top of the ADP list just because like if all of your like research and everything else is showing and like you're confident in this dude, if he's not coming back to you, just take him. Even if he's 8 spots down, just take the guy.
It's just kind of like Cody said earlier too about the Adam Thielen thing, because like there might be like a guy on that top of that list. But he's an 8 point a week kind of guy, and I'm looking for somebody in this spot that maybe starts 3 weeks this year, but gets me 15 points every time he does.
Exactly. Yep.
Or even like when you're trying to look for that, like, all right, when am I competing the most? Well, it's week 14, week 15, week 16. That's when the money happens. And like there are some guys like Adam Thielen that might sound like 7 to 8 points a week in week 1, week 2, week 3. Like, do I think that he's getting me even that week 14? I don't. I think it's when you find the next guy. Like I want rookies from you know what I'm saying? Like I want those guys that might be learning an offense and discovering their talent. Christian Watson last year, perfect example. No fantasy value until week 9, week 8, something like that. Whenever they played Dallas.
Yeah.
And
that's right.
Couldn't stop him. Couldn't stop. Like the one guy I'm not bitter, it's fine. Anyway, but like those are the kind of guys that take you deep in the fantasy playoffs. Those are the kind of guys that get you paid at the end. And like I remember when Kirk Cousins took over the starting quarterback job in Washington, like it was a middle of the year sort of situation, but like all of a sudden he was just averaging like 330 in the air and like 3 touchdowns a game through like a 3-week stretch before the fantasy playoffs and all the way through them. And if you have a guy like that, it's you're not drafting him, Yeah. But like that, that's a huge game changer when it's money time. When it's like, I'm not just trying to beat half of this league anymore. Now I'm trying to be the one.
Well, the thing is like you can look at it that way, sure, and I think that's a fine way to look at it. Draft upside, especially late. especially after you have all your pieces in place, and then like you're drafting upside, right? But there's also another way to look at it as like, if you think this guy is going to be solid early on in the year, he could be a bargaining chip to go after somebody else. Now, one of these guys that you're talking about that we don't know about, but now the chips have fallen a little bit, and it's week 3, and Adam Thielen's been putting a touchdown or 2 on the board. And now I can be like, take Adam Thielen and Cam Akers, and I can go get this rookie who I know has shown it now.
Or maybe you take the Jamal Williams, who gets 5 touchdowns the first 3 weeks before Kamara comes back.
Yeah,
you can make somebody think he's going to do that for 3 more weeks.
It's harder to do that with guys when it's clear that he's doing it because of suspension, but
You're
like
just not
you can
trying
still
hard
use
enough.
Yeah, because we're gonna see that in this league.
I did
this
7
year.
trades last year, so it's
definitely
possible.
Yeah,
it's possible.
It'll definitely happen, but
Patrick's got all this fucking like faith and camaraderie in this league, and I'm like, dude,
this league's better than it's ever been.
Because
It gets better every year.
And because
full
of
of
everybody else
schmucks,
being competitive.
full of them. The
So
swamp's
currently, I'm
heavy.
the champion of the toughest league we've ever had.
I feel
No, for now, sir.
That's pretty good. How's this look? Is this like?
it's nice.
It does look good over there. There's a little bit of a glint on the case below it. It looks nice.
A little bit.
You call it a
Sun's
gleam.
coming through.
A glint.
There's a gleam, gentlemen.
Glint and a
Gleam of
gleam.
gold.
That's my team name this year. A glint and a gleam.
Nice. That's actually
It was
great,
all a
dude.
dream. It's not bad, right?
It's not bad, man. You should write that one down.
Mhm.
But
We recorded it already. I'm good.
Yeah.
okay, sure, you're right. So anyway, we talked about Derek Carr, we talked about the backfield, we talked about Chris Olave. Maybe Michael Thomas is valuable, super late.
Where is
Super
Michael Thomas
Johnson?
going? Where's Michael Thomas going? Because that's
Very
something that I
late.
think, yeah, but like where? What's his ADP? Because that is an interesting.
40?
Yeah,
He's pretty.
He's a wide receiver, 45.
45.
Yeah.
Who does that put him around?
Elijah Moore, Quentin Johnston, Rashad Bateman, Kadarius Toney,
Hmm.
Yeah. all
Odell
those guys.
Beckham.
I'd rather have all those guys. Maybe Odell.
Yeah.
I would consider Mike Thomas over Odell. Maybe.
Odell's the bottom of that tier. The top of it is Cortland Sutton.
I think
Ooh,
I think
absolutely have him for Court Sutton.
yeah.
Courtland Sutton sucks. It's terrible, dude. He doesn't have it. Sorry.
Courtland Sutton sucks.
Courtland Sutton's going to lose his job to Marvin Mims. That's what's going to happen. He's going to be the 3 on that team.
Damn.
I'm telling you.
Courtland
Marvin Mims,
Sutton.
man. Remember the
Trash.
name. Marvin Mims is going to have a good year this year.
How can you forget Marvin Mims?
You don't know.
Marvin Mims is going to be great because Russell Wilson's a good deep ball thrower. He has a better coach now, and Marvin Mims is blazing fast.
Do you know that Russell Wilson can still throw the ball 40 yards?
I think he had a horrendously bad coaching situation, and he's a hell of a douche, and it turned into a bad situation. I think Sean Payton is going to be the best thing that ever happened to Russell Wilson late in his career. That's what I think.
Okay.
That's a hell of a way around the question, but I still like it.
Oh, hey, you know what? Hey, I'm a car salesman. I'm used to dodging questions all day, baby. Come on now.
Car salesman and 2 bartenders. This podcast is full of shit.
That's right. That's why our podcast should be just, pure conjecture. The fantasy podcast. We should name it that.
If it wasn't for our fantasy football superiority, then no one would be able to take us seriously at all.
It's true. So anyhow, I mean, I don't think there's much else to talk about. The tight end room's real murky in this team too. Juwan Johnson, Taysom Hill, Fabian Moreau, and maybe one other guy, Fabian Moreau. Yeah, came with Derek Carr. Foster Moreau.
I thought you had a nickname for him. I just wanted to know the story behind it.
No, I don't know where Fabian Moreau came from. Fabian Moreau is a cornerback, I believe, actually. He was for the Atlanta Falcons a few years back. Anyway,
making people up again.
Where is Taysom Hill going? Where's Taysom Hill going in the tight end? Because he's a weird character,
He won't
be on my team. Who cares?
Yeah, now that they got Derek Carr,
it's over, dude.
Because the
wide receiver, tight end 26.
Okay, because like his value was like being a quarterback too.
Yeah,
and you could get away with it.
Yeah, it's gone.
Yeah, it's gone.
Yeah, he's in the same realm as backup tight end Isaiah Likely.
I'll tell you what. When I play Madden against Patrick tonight, I'll use him.
And you go ahead, sir.
As a tight end, like, I'll dump it on. You're gonna hate it.
You're
gonna hate it.
You're gonna dump it on the tight end.
Oh God. Anyway, so New Orleans Saints, I think, probably a top 10 defense.
Really?
Yeah, maybe fringe.
Really?
Fantasy.
Well,
I know we're talking fantasy, but like, where does this come from?
You know what? Let me
Where does it?
this.
Please
Let me
do.
rescind this. Their secondary is quite old. Marshawn Lattimore is pretty much done.
I think they're going to have an offense that eats up a lot of clock this year. I just don't think
How old is Marshawn Lattimore, by the way?
I don't know.
He's got to be like pushing 30 at this point, right? I mean, he's been around as long as Mike Evans has been because he's been torturing Mike Evans his whole career.
You're right, man.
He has his entire career. He's been torturing Mike Evans.
He's 27.
27. 6 years. Wow. I thought, then
it does feel like he's been in the league a long time.
He was injured a lot last year. He didn't even get at least 50 tackles. So last year was quite a fall off for him. Their other cornerbacks are Paulson Adebo, Bradley Roby, and Alante Taylor. Bradley Roby's the only one I recognize in that. But
yeah,
I don't know. I don't know what their defense is going to be like.
I don't think their defense is going to be bad. I just don't think it's going to be anywhere in this top 10 fantasy relevancy that you just alluded to.
Defenses, since we're also talking draft strategy a little bit, defenses are just one of those ones where if it happens to work out and you get them, like, you got all your spots filled, you feel great about everything, and you're the first person to get to like one of them top tier defenses. Okay, maybe depending on where it's at, but past like defense 4 or 5 should be streaming anyway because it's just matchup based. You know what I mean? So the Saints, even if I think they're the defense 8, 9, or 10, I'm not changing anything about my draft to try and get a defense.
Do you guys ever like stream like a couple weeks or 2 or 3 weeks out on a defense? Like sometimes, like if I got like a spot where I'm like, well, I really want to see Cleveland's defense this week, but like for the next 2, Baltimore's defense is going to be really good. Like I'll stash.
I draft a team that's got a really good week 1 matchup.
I'll stash.
And it gives me an extra week to figure out who I'm going to drop them for.
Yeah.
I did
a lot of defense stashing like right before the playoffs last year, and because there was like some like week 15, 16 things. I'm like, this is the one I gotta have. So I had the spots for it. I think I carried OBJ forever.
Same territory as kicker. Not exactly the same, but it's just the wild card aspect of it with some of them. You can get like the Giants defense putting up 22 points 1 week. You know what I mean?
It's true. I do think it's matchup based over a kicker though. Whereas a kicker it's
there's more to it. I'm not saying it's the same. It's just it's similar to me.
Can I throw a couple deep cuts at you guys and then we'll get out of here?
I was hoping you would.
Rashid Shaheed. Okay. You remember him from last year? Speedster, rookie wide receiver, had some big touchdowns from New Orleans last year. Very fast. He's a burner. Derek Carr can throw the ball down the field.
And his name rhymes with itself, so you love to see it.
Yeah, so that's number 1. And then they also drafted a 6'3" rookie that has been playing well in the preseason. A.T. Perry.
A.T. Perry,
yep.
Perry?
Automatic transmission Perry.
Day 2 pick, 26 touchdowns, and back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons at Wake Forest. So
day 2 is round 6. Day 2.
Day 2 is rounds 2 through 4.
He was a 6th round pick. Is what I'm looking at.
No, there's 6th round pick.
23rd pick of the 6th round.
A.T. Perry.
Unless I'm looking at some misinformation here.
No, you're right. I thought is day 2 6. I thought there was 3 days.
Day 3. Well, you said day 2. That's why I was challenging it.
It says day 2. Oh, okay. He was considered a day 2 prospect, but he fell to day 3.
Gotcha. Okay.
So they might have got a value.
Right. And he's showing out.
Yep, exactly. The other night, he caught 6 passes for 70 yards and a touchdown. 6 of 6 on his targets.
That's pretty good.
It's pretty good.
Pretty good.
So Just saying.
All right.
Anyway,
Deep cut New Orleans Saints style.
yep.
Next
Go
Zeke
get
to the
in
Pats.
Go get NFC South, y'all.
Yeah, get South. Get Southeast. Southsiders. Go get some fried chicken.
Okay,
And,
that's it. Okay, cut it.
Yeah,
Get him
yeah,
out.
yeah,
Get him
yeah.
out. Get him out.
Next
Get him
week, the NFC North, right? The North.
out.
The
Go get
boys in
some
the
fried
North.
chicken and have some gumbo, kids. All right, we're out of
Give
here.
me some more schnitzel.
Yeah, we were talking about schnitzel before you got on, Cody. Schnitzel.
Oh, really? I missed out
lovable
on
dish.
schnitzel talk?
Yeah, man, I had some schnitzel before I came here. It's great.
Oh,
Fantastic.
man.
The Wiener Schnitzel. Come back in, ladies and gentlemen. Fantastic German restaurant in the heart of Madison, Wisconsin. A lot of great German stuff out here, including me. You know what I mean?
Including all the white people.
Well, you know,
It's the surest snow.
Sure as snow.
that's right. I think I meant sure as shit, but I didn't want to say sure as shit. I want to say sure as snow.
Oh,
Yeah, dude.
yeah, it sure is snow, man.
Sure
snow.
as snow,
That's
sir.
so funny. That's so funny.
Fantastic.